Hey everybody, welcome back. I know we've talked a lot about different things with data on how to track your data or keeping up with your data, a lot of those kinds of things. But one of the most common questions that we do get inside of our stores tends to be, how much data do I need? And that's a very difficult question because it's always going to be different from user to user. And the best answers that we have to go off is a lot of Facebook, or there's a lot of email, and a lot is a very objective word. It means different things to different people. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the numbers that you really have with that. And based on that, it might give you a better idea of exactly how to pinpoint how much data you're going to need. Um, First thing we want to talk about is kind of the major schools of where data is used. There's video, which is always going to use the most data. There's music, it's going to use the second most data. And then you have things like your web browsing, your apps, social media, that kind of stuff. So we use the third most. And then lastly, you have like emails and sending pictures and stuff. Now, when I say emails, these are emails generally without attachments. So text emails that you're reading and then replying to, and that's it. If you're opening a lot of attachments, then we got to go into more of that web browsing, video kind of area. Now, the first one that we'll go ahead and talk about is going to be your video streaming. Now, video streaming is something that at Selecto we always suggest you do when in Wi-Fi. If you have Wi-Fi at your home, use that. That's fantastic. Otherwise, there are a lot of other places with Wi-Fi. Local grocery stores will have Wi-Fi. McDonald's generally has free Wi-Fi. A lot of coffee shops. Those kind of places will usually have free Wi-Fi available. So if you really want to watch a movie on your phone, you're out and about, instead of hanging out wherever, try to hang out somewhere that has the free Wi-Fi for you to watch that video. Basically, what you're looking at with your video, if you stream on standard definition, a movie is going to use quite a bit, about 200 megabytes an hour. All right, now a lot of people do things in gigabytes, so we'll go ahead and back this up. 1,000 megabytes is 1 gigabyte. So when we say 200 megabytes, that's 20% of your 1 gigabyte plan. If you're on the 2 gigabyte plan, that's it's 10%. So 10 movies, or 10 hours really, of video streaming, so about 5 movies will completely wipe out your data. Now, some people out there, they can watch a lot of movies in a day, and if you're not on Wi-Fi, that's really going to catch up with you quick. So with movies, we always want to stress being in Wi-Fi. But if you are somebody that, you ride the bus to work, so you watch a YouTube video now and then, that's okay. But just be aware of that and try to kind of gauge how many hours of YouTube videos you're watching, so that you can base that when you go into our stores, or you're looking at changing your plan or what have you. So you really have a good idea of how much you're using. Also telling our store reps, I watch about 5 hours of YouTube videos during the month, commuting to work or whatever. And okay, great. We know that's probably about a gigabyte of video. So that's a significant amount. So we're definitely going to want you in that 2 gigabyte plan, or whatever it has to be. Or we want to do like a hotspot. If you are somebody that watches a lot of videos, we got that 2 gigabyte plan right now. We add in the hotspot with another 5 gigabytes, also 7 gigabytes. That's a good amount. So you can do a lot with that. But you don't want to be buying that unless you know what you're going to be using. So you always want to keep that in mind, in the back of your mind, what these all mean. So video, you're looking at about 200 megabytes an hour. So every hour you're watching that movie, it's a 2-hour movie, you just used 400 megabytes. Almost half a gig. So keep that all in mind. The next one we're going to talk about is music. Music does use a little bit less. According to some reports that were out in September of 2014, using your Spotify is about a megabyte a minute on their normal quality. If you go with their really high quality stuff, you're looking about 100 to 120 megabytes a minute. All right, now that is going to change from service to service, because some of these services have done a better job of constricting their music to fit into a smaller data stream. So Pandora might actually be a little bit less than Spotify. Spotify might be a little less than Pandora. It's always changing because they're always updating. And that report was in September. By now, it could even be less than what it was then. But you're looking at, to be safe, a range of about a megabyte a minute. So if you're watching 10 hours, that's 600 megabytes. Or not watching, but listening to about 10 hours of music, you're listening to about 600 megabytes of data. So again, if you're somebody that likes to listen to your music when you're at home cleaning, whatever, using your phone, maybe you have one of our HTC ROMs with that great speaker on it, then you're gonna want to make sure you're hooked up to your home Wi-Fi. If you don't have home Wi-Fi, if you're mostly listening to it in the car, on the bus, wherever you're going, commuting for work, going on trips, just keep that in mind. Maybe play around with it. I'm going to listen to a little bit of this stream music, and then I'm going to listen to some playlists that I have saved on here as well to kind of save that streamed music, so I'm not using all of my data and hitting my limit and having to either renew my plan early or get a cash card or whatever. We want to keep you under that. So now the third thing is going to be your web browsing and apps. Now this is one where it gets really kind of muddled a little bit because every web page is going to be completely different. Web pages that are mostly just like forums, those kinds of things that are almost all text, those are going to use the least. Those aren't going to use a whole lot because you're just reading through text. Again, text is going to be less data than pictures. Pictures are going to be less data than music. Music is going to be less data than video. So you're kind of going through that whole list. So if you're looking at a lot of forums, web pages that are just mostly articles, that sort of thing, it's not going to use as much. If you're getting on these web pages that have, videos and pictures and all kinds of crazy graphics, those are going to use a little bit more. Now, I'm not going to say that there's going to be web pages out there that are going to, if you visit them twice, you're going to use up all your data, but they are going to have a significant role. So being able to identify, okay, this is probably a less data consuming website. I can probably be on this and it's all right. Or going to one and being like, I got to really limit how many times I check this site because it is going to use a lot of data. Now, web pages are based on a per click. So you can have the same page open as long as it's not being refreshed or anything like that, and you're not going to be using any more data to be looking at that. Once you hit refresh, that uses up the data to then update the page. So if you have the same web page up, you're reading a forum for a couple hours, you're just scrolling through, that's fine. You're not using any more data than you did to originally bring up that page. If you're bouncing forum to forum to forum to forum for 5 minutes, rather than spending an hour on one forum, then you're going to be looking at using more data. So you want to keep that in mind. It's how many times you do get on that browser that's going to affect your data, not how long you're necessarily at a certain page. And again, if there's an article with a lot of videos and stuff, you want to watch those videos, definitely suggest being in a Wi-Fi zone or hooked up to a MiFi, something that's going to save your data a little bit, because clicking on those videos is going to eat up your data faster than anything else. Apps, Facebook, that sort of thing. Again, very complicated issue because different apps do different things. Some apps working off of your Wi-Fi, some apps will work off of your data. Some of them will update during your data times, which you definitely don't want. You don't want them updating unless you're in a Wi-Fi zone, because that can definitely eat it up. And then things like Facebook, your social media. Facebook, if you're just looking on the wall, is going to use less data than if you're going through and looking at somebody's pictures. If you're looking through people's albums or whatever, if you're uploading things onto Facebook, that type of stuff is going to use a lot. And it will catch up quickly if you're getting on Facebook and looking at people's albums and videos and searching a lot of people. Again, it's just like the webpage thing. The more clicks you're making, the more information's being downloaded, the higher your data content's going to be. So that's where it really gets objective when we start talking about how much data do you need, because some people, a little bit of Facebook means once or twice a month. Some people, a little bit of Facebook means once or twice a day. Some people, a lot of Facebook would mean a few times a week. Some people, a lot of Facebook would mean constantly. So it gets very, very tough to determine that, not knowing the specific viewpoint of what you think is a lot to a little. So coming in with that mindset and that information of, yeah, I'm probably jumping on Facebook probably 4 or 5 times during the day on my phone away from Wi-Fi. Yeah, I like to look at different albums, and I like to click on people's things, see what my friends are up to. I like to send out things, so then we know, okay, that's probably going to use a little bit more, and we can kind of marry that with, well, are you watching any videos? Are you doing a lot of music streaming? Do you go to a lot of other websites? And with all that information, we can really start to get an idea and a feel for what your data usage is. And it is tough, and it's not an exact science, and it's not going to be exact month to month, because some months, yeah, you're not going to get on Facebook as much. Hey, I had a really busy week, had a lot of family stuff going on. Got home from work, and it was off to here or there, and yeah, it just wasn't a big deal to me. And the next month, yeah, it was kind of a slower month. I got on there, saw what some friends from college were up to, and got in this long message with them or whatever. So it's always going to be different. So we got to always keep that in mind, and want to give yourself that leeway a little bit of knowing that it can change month to month. Last thing we're going to talk about, it's going to be more of your emails and picture messages. Now, these emails, if you're reading an email or something like that, just a text email, read it, reply to it. You're using kilobytes, smaller megabytes. With Selectel, we don't round your data to the nearest megabyte, and we found some people that save them a ton on their megabytes and their gigabytes of data by us not rounding. We want to give you guys the truest read of your data, so we keep it at the kilobyte level. A lot of other carriers will take it to the megabyte. We won't do that. So with us, your email is going to use a few kilobytes. Sending out a picture text to like a few friends, that's a few kilobytes. Those are all things that are pretty minimal. If you're somebody that works a lot from your phone, I know I do from away from my desk. I've always got my phone. It's emails galore. So thousands of emails a month, not going to be a huge deal as long as you're not somebody, again, that's okay. Well, I'm watching 4 hours of videos as well. Because it will all eventually add up. So it's really just taking a look at what you're doing the most of, how much are you doing that, and then as well as with the other kind of the other 3 schools of data usage. So that's all I have today. I hope that kind of sheds some light on some things, puts a few numbers to what exactly your data usage is. And I hope you can take that and put that in your mind and start to really think about what you're using and how much you're using. And is there a way to kind of make it more efficient? Again, if you're coming to the store to activate for the first time, that's great. Come on in. Keep that in mind so that when you come in, we can really nail down the best plan for you right away. We can always change the plan. Plans change month to month. It's not a problem. You can be on the $55 plan 1 month, go on the 30, go back to the 40. Not a big deal. Month to month, it can easily change. But it's always good to go into that month knowing kind of what you're going to be doing so you have a good idea of where you want to be. We want to give you the truest test of what's good for my data. So with that all in mind, I'll go ahead and leave you. And any other questions, anything like that, you can always contact any of our stores. You can find a store near you by visiting www.selectelwireless.com. That also has a list of dealers and things like that if we don't have a corporate store near your area. Always like us on Facebook. Check out our YouTube channel. Leave comments. Let us know what you want to hear about. We really love hearing from you guys and knowing what you want to talk about. And lastly, you can call our customer service line with any other questions, issues, comments, concerns. I know that they don't mind hearing from you guys either. So you can give them a call. The number is right below. And that is all for me, and I'll see you all next week.